A little girl lay in a hospital bed, whispering a dream that seemed impossible. I just want to see the ocean. Just once. No one knew if she would make it. But when the world seemed silent, engines thundered to life, and an army of unlikely angels appeared. Before we start today's story, tell us, where in the world are you watching from? Also, please subscribe to the channel. It will help us reach our first 1,000 subscribers and bring you more inspiring stories every day. The hospital room was quiet except for the steady rhythm of machines. 8-year-old Lily Harper stared at the ceiling, her small fingers tracing invisible patterns in the air. Her body was frail, weakened by months of battling leukemia. Her mother, Marissa, sat close, gently stroking her daughter's hair. Marissa tried to smile, but her eyes carried the weight of sleepless nights and silent prayers. Lily's dream was simple: to see the ocean. She had never left their small town in Kansas. She had only seen the sea in picture books, its endless horizon calling to her like a secret song. But with mounting hospital bills and Marissa working double shifts as a waitress, the ocean felt like a universe away. That night, as Marissa tucked her daughter in, Lily whispered, "Mom, do you think the ocean knows my name?" Marissa pressed her lips against her daughter's forehead, holding back tears, unsure of what answer to give. Marissa's life was a series of sacrifices. Before Lily's illness, she dreamed of becoming a teacher. But when her husband walked out years earlier, Marissa's world shrank to survival. She worked nights, waited tables by day, and tried to keep hope alive. Every dollar went to medication, every hour to keeping her child alive. Yet despite everything, Lily never complained. She was a child who found wonder in small things: the glow of fireflies, the sound of rain tapping against glass, the warmth of her mother's hand. But the ocean was something different. "It's too big to be real," Lily once told her nurse. "It looks like it could swallow the whole sky." Doctors spoke gently but never promised too much. The truth was fragile like glass. Lily's time was slipping away, though no one said it aloud. Marissa clung to the hope that miracles still existed. She prayed, quietly, desperately, for something, anything, that might bring her daughter a moment of pure joy. One cold autumn afternoon, Marissa sat in the hospital cafeteria, staring into her untouched coffee. Her coworker from the diner, Maggie, joined her. Maggie was older, rough around the edges, but her heart was steady. Marissa finally broke, whispering Lily's dream aloud. "She just wants to see the ocean. Once. That's all." Maggie's eyes softened. She had connections, people Marissa didn't know. People who lived life differently. "I might know someone," she said slowly. Marissa looked up, puzzled. Maggie leaned closer, almost hesitant. "My brother rides with a motorcycle club. They're rough, yeah, but they've got hearts bigger than most folks I know. If they hear about Lily, they might help." Marissa's instinct was fear. Bikers? The only image she had was from movies: loud engines, leather jackets, trouble. But Maggie placed a hand over hers. "Sometimes the people you least expect are the ones who show up." Marissa didn't answer, but a spark, faint, flickering, lit inside her chest. That night, Maggie made a call. On the other end was her brother, Ray Bulldog Miller, a broad-shouldered man with tattoos snaking up his arms. He was a member of the local Hells Angels chapter. Ray wasn't used to crying women or hospital stories. He was used to road dust, whiskey, and the brotherhood of the open highway. But when Maggie's voice cracked as she told him about Lily, something inside him shifted. He remembered being a boy, standing at his mother's grave, lost and helpless. The next morning, Ray visited the hospital. He entered quietly, removing his sunglasses, his leather vest heavy with patches. Marissa froze when she saw him. His beard, his presence, everything about him seemed out of place in the sterile white hallway. But then Lily looked up wide-eyed. "Are you a cowboy?" she asked softly. Ray smiled, kneeling beside her bed. "Nah, sweetheart," he said. "I ride steel horses." and for the first time in weeks, Lily laughed. Marissa watched with guarded eyes as Ray sat with Lily. His large, scarred hands looked almost comically gentle as he held the child's fragile fingers. He listened as Lily spoke about the ocean, the waves, the smell of salt, the way seagulls flew over water. "I just want to hear it sing," she whispered. Ray swallowed hard, feeling a lump rise in his throat. Later, he stepped outside with Marissa. The air smelled of antiseptic and asphalt. "Let me and my brothers handle this," Ray said. "We'll get her to the ocean." Marissa hesitated. Could she trust him? Could she trust a gang of bikers with her daughter's fragile health? But then she thought of Lily's eyes, bright, alive when she spoke of the sea. Marissa nodded slowly. "Please, just keep her safe." Ray placed a hand over his chest. "On my life," he vowed. That night, engines roared in garages across town. Word spread among the Hells Angels. There was a little girl who wanted to touch the ocean. The next weekend, the hospital parking lot shook with the sound of motorcycles. Chrome gleamed under the morning sun as more than 24 bikers arrived, their leather vests adorned with flames, skulls, and patches that carried weight in the underworld. Nurses peeked through windows. Families pulled their children closer. But Lily? She pressed her face against the glass, eyes wide with wonder. "They came for me," she whispered. Marissa stood beside her, clutching her daughter's hand. When Ray entered the room, his voice was gentle. "Princess, today we ride to the edge of the world." Lily giggled, her foreline carefully disconnected, her wheelchair ready. The bikers formed a protective circle around the hospital entrance. Some brought teddy bears strapped to their handlebars. Others carried handmade signs that read, "Ride for Lily." Engines revved like thunder, but within that sound was something more, a promise. A promise that Lily wouldn't face her last days without seeing her dream come true. The convoy began to move, a river of chrome and thunder rolling out of the hospital lot. Marissa sat in a van just behind them, her heart pounding as she watched the bikers take formation. Ray rode at the front, Lily seated safely in the van's passenger seat with the window down, her hair lifted by the wind. She waved as each biker passed, and they raised their gloved hands in salute. Townspeople stopped on sidewalks, phones raised, eyes wide in disbelief. Strangers whispered, "Who are they riding for?" The answer was painted on banners strapped to bikes, "Lily's Ocean Ride." As they left town, Marissa glanced at her daughter. Lily's cheeks were flushed with joy, her eyes brighter than Marissa had seen in months. For a moment, Marissa forgot the fear, the tubes, the diagnoses. There was only this. A caravan of outlaws escorting her fragile little girl toward a dream. The road stretched endless ahead, and for once, it felt like hope. The journey wasn't easy. Hours on the road meant Lily's energy would fade. The bikers rode in shifts, some darting ahead to block traffic at intersections, others riding close to the van, ensuring no one came near. They became guardians, their leather and steel transformed into armor of love. At a rest stop, Lily was carried gently from the van by a biker named Tank, a towering man with arms like tree trunks. Yet when he lifted her, his touch was softer than a lullaby. "You're safe, princess," he whispered, tucking her blanket around her shoulders. Marissa watched with tears burning her eyes. These men society called dangerous she now saw differently. They weren't just bikers, they were protectors. Lily smiled at each of them, her voice faint but sincere. "Thank you for helping me find the sea." The men exchanged glances, clearing their throats, pretending dust irritated their eyes. But inside, each one knew they'd never ridden for something so sacred. Hours later, clouds gathered above the highway, the sky darkening with a storm's threat. Rain began to fall in heavy drops, soaking leather jackets, streaking the visors of helmets. Marissa grew tense, glancing at Lily, worried about her fragile health. "Should we stop?" she asked. But Ray shook his head, pulling alongside the van. Through the glass, he pressed his hand to his chest, mouthing, "We've got her." The bikers adjusted their formation, tightening like a shield around the van. Engines roared louder, echoing through the rain as if defying the storm itself. Lily leaned her head against the window, her small hand mirroring Ray's gesture. "They sound like thunder," she whispered to Marissa. "But I'm not scared." Marissa brushed wet hair from her daughter's forehead, heart twisting with both fear and awe. Lightning split the sky, illuminating the convoy like a scene from another world. For that fleeting moment, it was as if heaven itself was watching. When the storm finally broke, the sun pierced through the clouds, painting the wet asphalt with gold. The bikers cheered, lifting their fists to the sky. Lily clapped weakly, her laughter mingling with the rumble of engines. But just as relief washed over Marissa, Lily coughed. A sharp, rattling sound that sent fear slicing through her chest. The van pulled over, and the bikers circled tight. Marissa held her daughter as nurses rushed forward. 2 of them had come along in case of emergencies, courtesy of the bikers' insistence. Ray paced nearby, his fists clenched, his jaw hard. "She'll be okay," one nurse reassured, checking Lily's vitals. Minutes felt like lifetimes until Lily's breathing steadied. Finally, she opened her eyes, whispering, "Don't stop, please." The bikers looked at one another, then back at the little girl. Ray's voice broke the silence. "We ride on." Engines ignited once more, louder, fiercer, as if carrying Lily's fragile heartbeat in their rhythm. The convoy pressed forward, their destination now within reach. They were heading toward the California coast, where the Pacific stretched infinite. Along the way, whispers spread faster than the bikes themselves. Photos appeared online, videos uploaded by strangers. Hell's Angels escorting a little girl to the ocean. Crowds began to gather on overpasses, waving signs of encouragement, tossing flowers onto the road. Marissa watched in astonishment as the world seemed to rally behind them. Lily's cheeks glowed, her frailty momentarily forgotten. "Mom," she whispered, "people are helping us." Marissa nodded, holding her daughter's hand. "Yes, baby. Sometimes the world remembers how to be kind." When they stopped briefly for fuel, strangers brought food, blankets, and donations pressed into Marissa's hands. She tried to refuse, but Ray urged her to accept. "This ain't charity," he said. "It's brotherhood. It's family." For the first time, Marissa believed him. This wasn't just a ride. It had become a movement, carrying them all toward the sea. But not everyone welcomed them. At one small town on the edge of the desert, police cruisers waited, their lights flashing red and blue. An officer approached, stern-faced. "What's going on here? You can't just take over the highway with a gang of bikers." Marissa's heart sank, fearing the dream would collapse. Ray stepped forward calmly. His presence was imposing, but his voice was steady. "We're not here for trouble, officer. We're here for her." He pointed toward Lily, sitting in her van seat with wide, innocent eyes. The officer froze, taken aback. For a long moment, silence hung heavy. Then Lily lifted her small hand and waved. Something softened in the man's face. He leaned down, lowering his voice. "How far are you going?" "To the ocean," Ray replied. The officer straightened, then gestured to his men. "Clear the way." The cruisers pulled ahead, sirens blaring. Not to arrest, but to escort. Marissa covered her mouth with her hand, overwhelmed. The desert opened wide, the horizon stretching forever. Lily grew quieter, her strength fading. Marissa stroked her hair, whispering encouragement, her heart aching with every shallow breath. Ray rode close, glancing into the van at every turn, refusing to let fear win. By nightfall, they reached a motel arranged by locals. The bikers stood guard all night, their engines silent but their presence strong. Marissa sat beside Lily's bed, tears slipping down her face. "We're so close," she whispered. Lily stirred, her voice faint as a feather. "Do you think the ocean waits for me, Mommy?" Marissa kissed her hand. "Yes, sweetheart. The ocean has been waiting since the day you were born." Outside, Ray lit a cigarette, staring at the stars. He muttered a prayer he'd never admit to saying, asking whoever was listening to give Lily just one more day. He exhaled into the night, the smoke curling like a vow. Morning came with a soft breeze. The convoy assembled once again, their engines warming like drums before battle. Lily was carried gently back into the van, her face pale but her eyes glowing faintly with anticipation. The road narrowed as they drew closer to the coast. You could almost smell the salt in the air, faint but undeniable. The bikers grew restless, their anticipation mirroring Marissa's silent hope. Then, at a crest in the highway, Lily gasped. The horizon shifted, and there it was, the shimmering blue expanse of the Pacific Ocean, stretching farther than her eyes could see. Tears spilled down Marissa's cheeks. "We made it," she whispered, clutching her daughter's hand. Lily pressed her face to the window, her voice breaking with awe. "It's real, Mommy. It's really real." The bikers whooped and raised their fists to the sky, the roar of engines echoing like a victory cry. The ocean, once a dream, was now a promise fulfilled. The convoy pulled into a quiet stretch of beach chosen by Ray's men, away from crowds. The bikers formed a protective circle as Marissa lifted Lily from the van. Tank carried her down to the sand, each step slow and careful. The sound of waves rolled closer, a steady lullaby. Marissa knelt beside her daughter, tears streaming. Lily reached out her small hand, trembling as she touched the sand for the first time. "It's warm," she whispered. The bikers fell silent, their rough exteriors softened by the sight. Then, with Marissa's help, Lily's feet touched the edge of the surf. Foam curled around her toes. Her eyes widened, her smile fragile but radiant. "It tickles," she said, her voice filled with wonder. For a moment, time itself seemed to pause. Every man and woman watching knew they were witnessing something holy, an innocent soul touching infinity. Engines cooled in the distance, but the heartbeat of the ocean carried them all. Marissa held her daughter close as the waves lapped gently. Lily's body was weak, but her spirit was soaring. "Mom," she whispered, "it's bigger than forever." Marissa pressed her face against Lily's hair, sobbing quietly, unable to answer. Ray stood nearby, his arms crossed, sunglasses hiding his eyes. But behind them, tears threatened to break through. One of the bikers, Snake, knelt in the sand, carving Lily's name with his knife. "Now the ocean knows who you are, princess," he said softly. Lily's smile glowed brighter. The group stayed there for hours, letting her breathe the salt air, feel the spray on her cheeks, and listen to the eternal rhythm of waves. As the sun began to set, painting the horizon with fire and gold, Lily leaned against her mother's chest, her eyes heavy. "I can sleep now," she murmured. Marissa rocked her gently, whispering, "Rest, baby. The ocean will sing you to sleep." The bikers stood in silence, their leather vests catching the glow of the sunset. Engines no longer roared. They bowed to the greater sound of crashing waves. Marissa kissed Lily's forehead, realizing her daughter had drifted into a deep, peaceful sleep. Her small chest rose and fell with rhythm. No machines, no sterile hospital walls, just the ocean cradling her breath. Marissa turned to Ray, her voice breaking. "Thank you for giving her this." Ray placed a hand on her shoulder, his rough palm steady. "No thanks needed. She gave us something too." One by one, the bikers approached Lily, placing small tokens in the sand around her. Patches, chains, bandanas. Each gift was a vow, a symbol of love from men who the world misunderstood. Marissa looked at them, strangers who had become guardians, and realized this was more than a ride. It was a testament that even in a hard, broken world, grace still existed. Night descended, the stars blinking awake. The convoy stayed on the beach, building a small fire. Marissa wrapped Lily in a blanket, cradling her against her chest. She was weaker now, but calm, her lips curved in a faint smile. The bikers shared stories. Rough voices softened as they spoke of losses, regrets, and the roads they'd ridden. Ray told Marissa quietly, "Most people fear us, but truth is, we just needed someone to believe we could do good." Marissa met his eyes, understanding dawning. "And Lily, she gave you that chance." Ray nodded, unable to speak further. Around the fire, laughter mingled with silence, a strange harmony of outlaws and a mother's love. When Marissa finally closed her eyes, she dreamed not of hospitals, but of her daughter's laughter, of engines thundering like a promise, and of the ocean vast and eternal, holding them all in its embrace. By morning, word had spread. News crews lined the cliffs, capturing images of the convoy guarding the little girl on the sand. But the bikers didn't care for cameras, they cared for Lily. When she awoke, weaker still, Marissa whispered, "Do you want to see the ocean again?" Lily's eyes fluttered open, and she nodded faintly. Ray lifted her this time, carrying her down to the water. The waves rushed up, cool against his boots. He held her tiny body against his chest as she reached out once more, letting the ocean spray her fingers. "It's singing," she whispered. Ray swallowed hard. "Yeah, princess, it's your song now." Behind them, the bikers stood like sentinels, engines ready but silent, their brotherhood bound to her forever. Marissa wept quietly, knowing this moment was everything her daughter had dreamed of. Whatever tomorrow held, today had given Lily infinity. As the convoy prepared to leave, Marissa hugged each biker, her gratitude spilling out in broken words. They had given her daughter more than a dream. They had given her dignity, joy, and peace. Ray knelt by Lily one last time. "You ever get scared, princess, you just listen close. That ocean, it's your family now." Lily's eyes shimmered. "And you're my angels." The bikers mounted their steel horses, engines firing like thunder rolling across the sky. They rode off in formation, fading into the horizon, their roar blending with the ocean's hymn. Marissa held Lily, who drifted once more into gentle sleep, her smile lingering. The sea stretched endless before them, a reminder that love often arrives from the unlikeliest roads. Sometimes angels wear leather, carry scars, and ride with thunder. But they are angels nonetheless, and for one little girl they made forever real.